Water?
Want some water?
Yeah. Man, it's a longer hike than I thought it was going to be. We should have had breakfast this morning.
Speaking of breakfast, I'm hungry. Where's the trail mix?
Trail mix.
Yeah. Didn't you bring any?
I didn't bring any trail mix. All I brought was this Hard Rock piece of candy. But it ain't for eating. It's just for looking through. Want to try?
No.
We all have a version of rose-colored glasses that we look through at one thing or another in life, don't we? Good morning, everyone. Matt, Nomadic Native, back with you. Thanks for tuning in. So, healthcare while on the road, that's a great big topic. If you've ever wondered which video on this channel was the most difficult to make, for reasons that will become very clear, it's this one, by far. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some rather difficult news with you, but I don't want to just blurt it out, and I didn't want to share it, just post it on the Nomadic Native Facebook page. I want to share it in a way that might help some people, okay? To do that, I'm going to have to use myself as an example, and I'm going to have to open up and let you guys in a little deeper. I want you to know this doesn't come natural for me. It's not easy. For that reason, this is probably a one-off video. I'll probably never do this again. Okay, so let me tell you a story. In the 3 years that Maria and I have been traveling back and forth across this nation, we have met thousands of people. There have been hundreds and hundreds of campfires, 4 p.m. RVer happy hours, and all that, and all the conversations with our fellow RVers that go along with those events. And by far, when it comes to healthcare, we have heard the attitude expressed to us, an attitude that I recognize, by the way, very well. And it goes something like this. The attitude that's being expressed back to us from our peers goes something like this. I'll go to the doctor if I get sick or hurt or something like that, but other than that, I don't need to go to the doctor because there's nothing wrong with me. It's too expensive. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. There's lots of reasons, not the least of which is the absolute debacle that this nation has been put through over healthcare in recent history. We've heard horror stories out there, okay? We really have, coast to coast. But again, by far, that's the attitude that we've heard, and that's the same attitude that I used to have. I'll go to the doctor if I get sick. Other than that, I don't need to go. If I get hurt, something like that, okay? So here's where my story is going to start. And in my story, in this video, I am going to advocate for and in favor of something that a lot of people think is kind of trivial. I'm going to advocate for and in favor of the yearly full physical. Now, I'm not talking about that thing they do at the clinic where they check your eyes, ears, nose, and throat, listen to your heart, and you're out the door. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that full physical, the one that takes all day, the one where they take 1.5 gallons of blood, several samples, they do an EKG, they're poking and prodding. Y'all know what I mean, right? Yeah, that one. I am advocating for and in favor of that full physical once a year. Okay, here's why. As most of you know, I'm a 100% disabled infantry combat veteran. All right. My tenure in the military was January 1983 to December 1993. That period of time covers Grenada, Panama, Kuwait, Iraq, and I spent a lot of time in the jungles of Central and South America. From the day I got out in December of 1993 all the way until early 2013, I flat refused to go and get that physical, right? Now, I don't want you to think there wasn't doctor's appointments and emergency room visits and all that during that length of time. There was plenty of those. You know, I go 100 miles per hour at just about everything that I do. And there are a lot of you out there just like me in that regard. And when we go 100 miles per hour at just about everything that we do, something's going to give. And in this case, it's going to be us or me. Something's going to break. Something's going to get cut. There's probably going to be some blood involved. Most likely, right? You know it's true. So yeah, there's plenty of doctor visits. And I guess my attitude back then through all those years was like, I just came from the doctor getting this patched or sewed up or fixed one way or the other. They didn't see anything else wrong with me. That physical is unnecessary. It takes all day. I don't want to do it. Okay. A lot of you have that same attitude, right? A lot of you are just like me in that regard. Now, at the end of 2012, towards the end of the year there, I had a series of unfortunate incidents that kept me going back to the doctor getting patched up quite often right there at the end of the year. When we clicked over to 2013, well, y'all know Maria. She had finally had enough. I don't know how she put up with it for as long as she did. But she had finally had enough, and she jumped on her nag cycle and fired that sucker up. You fellas know what that sounds like, right? The nag cycle? Nag, 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 nag. Yeah. She fired and revved that puppy up, and I went and made myself an appointment. Now, my story to this point does not go deep enough to give you a full and comprehensive understanding of just how adverse I was to going and getting that physical. Because, folks, 100% disabled veteran, right? I have free, 100% free health care head to toe, 45 miles away at the VA hospital. I have that same health care at any VA hospital across the nation. But wait, that's not all. I'm also a citizen of Muskogee Creek Nation here in northeast Oklahoma, a sovereign Native American nation that pays 100% of my health care at the Combined Nations Indian Hospital in Claremore, Oklahoma, only 6 miles away. And even though it was that close and free, I still refused. That's how adverse I was to it. But Maria finally got me to go. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I've already had the physical. I've had all the labs, all the poking and prodding. I'm sitting in my doctor's office, and great doctor. She's my senior female doctor, okay? She has now left the Indian Hospital. She's working at the VA hospital, and they're better for it. She's a great doctor. She's looking over those lab numbers. All those numbers that make no sense to me at all. She's looking over those. She got a smile on her face. And she says, Matt, I'm on a first name basis with my doctors, like some of y'all are. She says, Matt, for someone who gets busted up as much as you do, I really don't see anything in your lab numbers or anything that gives me any concern. However, folks, I have learned when dealing with doctors, whatever comes after the however, that's what's going to bite you on the butt. Okay? Or that's what has the potential to bite you on the butt. However, you do have a minuscule amount of blood in your urine, and while that's not so uncommon for someone who gets busted up as much as you do, I want to send you for one more test. And she said she was going to send me for a CAT scan, and I could leave after I do the CAT scan, and she'd give me a call if she found anything. She really wasn't expecting much, right? So I go for the CAT scan, and they give me the IV with the stuff that makes you warm all over. I think it's radioactive, and come to think of it, maybe that's got something to do with it. I've had a lot of it. Anyway, when the little gal that was doing the CT came out from behind her little hidey hole wall, she looked me dead in the eye and she says, you can't go anywhere until you see the doctor again. And I'm like, well, I've been here most of the day. How long is that going to take, right? And with a very serious look on her face, she says, oh, that's not going to take long at all. Follow me. And she gave me the finger. Follow me, right? She marched me back into my doctor's office and told my doctor, you need to see this. And I'm sitting in the chair, and they're over there at the desk looking on the computer, speaking in code, doing all that, and yeah, I see that kind of stuff. Then the room got real quiet, And my doctor looked at me dead in the eye. And she said, "You have cancer. I'm pretty sure what I'm seeing here is cancer. You have cancer." My right kidney had lit up in that CT, right? The cancer cells were suspended in liquid inside the kidney, swimming around in there, I guess, like, I don't know, a bowl full of sea monkeys. And if they had escaped, all right, if it had leaked or anything like that, I'd have been dead. It would have spread all over me, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything. I'd be dead, right? I think it's because of that I was 8 days from the day my doctor told me I had cancer until the day I had surgery. My surgeon was a different doctor, an oncologist in Tulsa. And 8 days, that's pretty fast. When you have that surgery, you have to go back and see that doctor for a couple of years, periodically, like every 90 days, right? And I did that, and at the end of 2 years, I was still cancer-free, so good to go, out the door, right? But at one of those, got a message, but at one of those appointments, I asked my surgeon, how close was I? And he knew what I meant. He's been doing this a long time, he knew. I don't remember his exact words, so I'm going to have to paraphrase, but this is what he told me. He said, well, I had to take your kidney out in one piece. He cut below my belly button to do that. He said, I had to take it out in one piece because we couldn't risk it leaking inside your system with all those cancer cells floating in there. And while you can't tell a whole lot by just looking at a kidney that you're holding in your hand, if I had to voice what may have went through my mind when I looked at your kidney, I would say this should have been over already. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. This should have been over already. And I knew what he meant. Pretty close. Okay. Now what I want you to get out of the story, if you're one of those folks out there who's a lot like me with the attitude towards healthcare that I'll go if I get sick or if I get hurt. Other than that, I don't need to go. What I want you to understand and realize is that when I went for that full physical with the full workup in early 2013, that saved my life. Folks, I wasn't sick. I didn't feel bad. I wasn't injured. I wasn't in pain. As far as I was concerned, there was nothing wrong with me. Okay? That's how important that full physical with the full workup is. It can literally save your life. Those doctors, when they look at those numbers, they understand them, and they can put two and two together and pull things out of there that can save you. Okay? So I hope I've made my point, and I hope that in the future, if you're like me, you'll take off your rose-colored glasses when it comes to that full physical every year and go get it done. It's important. Okay? Now, about that thought that you've been holding since the beginning of this video. This is why this video is so long. There's a second part to this story. Here in Northeast Oklahoma, we have an allergy season here in the spring. Now I'm from here, so it only affects me about maybe first 2-3 weeks of spring. Rest of the year I'm fine. Here at the house I mow 3 acres. And about 10 days ago or so, I was out there mowing and I was about halfway done when I had the most sudden, violent allergy attack I've ever had in my life. You know how when you're going to sneeze, you can feel it coming. You're building up for it, and there it is. Well, I don't want you to think it was like that, because it was nothing like that. This was the most sudden, violent string of 3 or 4 sneezes in a row I have ever felt in my life. Prior to this event, I had no idea that a human being could pull a muscle from a sneeze. I had no clue. Believe me, it can happen. Happened to me. And guess where the muscle I pulled is? Right there where that kidney used to be. Right there. And when it happened, it felt like somebody stabbed me with a Bowie knife right there. Okay? Now, it was probably a mistake, but I stayed out there and finished doing the mowing. It was a mistake because, I don't have neighbors that live right next to me. I'm out in the country. The neighbors are down the road. But every time my midsection would do that really quick tense up to cough or sneeze from that point forward, it felt like somebody was stabbing me with a Bowie knife in that kidney, and I'm certain that those neighbors down the road heard me scream a few choice words. It hurt that bad. I finished up mowing. I came in, took a shower, got all the pollen off of me, and I got dressed and I went back to the hospital in Claremore. I went to the emergency room, saw the doctor there, told him everything, cancer, I think it's a pulled muscle, but it's right where that kidney used to be. Check it out. And of course he said, well, I need to see what's going on inside there. So he sent me back for another CAT scan. Same deal. IV, wormy stuff all over. I'm back in his office. He's looked at everything. He's standing there talking to me. And this is what he says. He's got a smile on his face. I think he thought it was funny. He said, well, I think you're right. I think you just pulled a muscle. I looked in that area where that kidney used to be, and I don't see anything in there that, looks like it's ruptured or burst or anything like that. I think it's just, you pulled a muscle right there at the bottom of your rib cage. However, that thought that you've been holding since the beginning of this video, that's where this is going to come in. However, you do have what appears to be 2 cysts or maybe 2 tumors that are sitting either side of the adrenal gland on your left kidney. You need to follow up with your cancer doctor at the VA. However, that is my disturbing news. So that's what I did. I followed up with my cancer doctor at the VA. Her name is Dr. K. She is my senior. She's a good doctor. She's Indian, not American Indian, India Indian, right? She got in touch with the Indian hospital in Claremore, got a copy of the CT, called me back in the afternoon, and confirmed for me what the emergency room doctor had told me. The VA is scheduling me a biopsy. That's going to be happening pretty quick, and we're going to find out if it's cancer or if it's just benign growth. I'm well aware that the odds of it being cancer are much greater because I've had cancer before. And, what can I say, folks? Lightning has struck twice, and I want you to realize that everything that has happened since that initial full physical in 2013, every step along the way that has allowed me to be with you here today, it all goes back to that physical. Because if I hadn't had that and taken off those rose-colored glasses or stopped looking through my Hard Rock piece of candy when it comes to health care, you and I would not be having this conversation. So I hope I've made my point. Don't pass up that physical. Do it. It's important. And that's it for this video, folks. If you haven't subscribed, we invite you to subscribe and follow along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.